السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. اللهم صل وسلم وبارك على سيدنا ونبينا محمد رسول الله. هنكمل النهاردة Oliver Twist, Oliver Twist and the theme of corruption. mainly تشارلز ديكنز ستوري كلها، النوفل كلها عن theme of corruption and God's protection or the divine care. اوكي. احنا وقفنا في chapter 4. تعالوا ما نرجع له. We stopped with Oliver's new life at the Sowerberry's house. وقفنا عند Sowerberry's house and how he was humiliated by Noah Clayball and Mrs. Sowerberry. And we have seen their black courts, which is full of evil. How they were so evil to actually we have seen this more with Mrs. Sowerberry, and how she dealt with Oliver, not sympathizing with him at all, not sympathizing with his weakness, but she made fun of him and she said that he was just a bag of bone. Oliver, as usual, كالعادة, he can't do anything. He just giving up or dealing with his circumstances. هو مش بيستسلم، هو بيكمل حياته عادي, trying to cope and go on. He went with Sowerberry on his business journey and he helped him at funerals when the coffins were put in the ground. Oliver noted that the funerals of very rich people, families who were sad when these people were alive, were often happy after their death. Oliver notes, look at the hypocrisy. This is an example, a beautiful example from Charles Dickens to the hypocrisy of the society. طب ازاي Miss Noah? Let's read it. Concentrate كده، ركزوا. Oliver noticed that at the funerals of very rich people, families who were sad when these people were alive were often happy after their death. يعني الناس اللي كانت حزينة وقت وجود الناس دي, it shows how people are hypocrite. الناس دي كانت عايشة والناس اللي حواليها كانت حزينة, ولما ماتوا فقدوهم المفروض يكونوا يعني أكثر حزنا. But on the contrary, what happens if they are happier? He will explain more. Husbands seemed calm over the loss of their wives. Wives wore black for their husbands' funerals, but they liked to look as pretty as possible in these clothes. يعني they are wearing black and they are looking sad by, or they are appearing sad by wearing or putting on the black clothes only in the appearance, but inside they want to look beautiful and they are not sad at all. Oliver saw too. You see how Oliver is smart, that he can see what's inside these people. Oliver saw too the people whose sorrow was very great during the funeral got better very quickly as soon as they reached home and drank tea. يعني خلاص, once they go back home and no one sees them, they start to be back. They are back to their lives, drinking tea, having fun, and if there was nothing at all, and as if they were not at a funeral. This shows what? Theme of hypocrisy. Theme of hypocrisy. And the theme of appearance versus reality. What they look to people is exactly different from what they hide inside their hearts. اللي بيظهروا للناس عكس تماما اللي موجود جوه قلوبهم. During this time to Noah Clayball. يبقى أنا زي الشطور كده بجيب بيبر بكتب فيها الثيمز بتاعتي، بجمع الاكزامبلز بتاعت الثيمز. يعني فور اكزامبل ليه؟ طب هعمل كده ليه؟ هعمل كده علشان خاطر while writing while answering any discussion question لازم يكون عندي an evidence، لازم يكون عندي دليل. طب انا هجيب الدليل ده من بيتنا؟ لا، هجيبه من الستوري بتاعتي، هجيبه من لسان تشارلز ديكنز by himself. اوكي طيب يبقى انا مثلا عندي ال divine care، اول ما الاقي example that proves divine care example على طول I write it down on a paper. عندي example for appearance versus reality. If I want to talk about corruption and the corruption of the society, the appearance, the hypocrisy of the society, at once I will remember the scene of the funeral and what Oliver have seen from the people. Okay? During this time يبقى منساش أعمل draft كده collecting ideas, collecting themes with characters that gives or that we have seen the corruption or the hypocrisy in them, that we have seen kindness in them, and at the same time evidence for the theme itself. طيب during this time Noah Clayball made life very unpleasant for Oliver because Noah behaved like this child was bad to Oliver too, and because Mr. Sowerberry tried to be his friend, Mrs. Sowerberry was his enemy. يعني Mr. Sowerberry was kind, but at the same time his wife Mrs. Sowerberry was not kind at all. So with three people against him, Oliver's life was not very comfortable. يبقى why Oliver's life at the Sowerberry's house was not comfortable at all? Simply because of the presence of Mrs. Sowerberry, who is similar to Mrs. Mann. يعني هو ساب Mrs. Mann وقع في Mrs. Sowerberry. ولو تفتكروا last time we gave significance to the names and we said Sowerberry, it looks like التوت الحامض, means إن هي حاجة كان هو فاكر, he thought that he is going to have a pleasant life, but unfortunately it came out to be sour. بس للأسف اتحولت السويتنس دي لsourness, لمرارة. One day was very bad to Oliver. He pulled his hair hard and hurt his ears. He was trying. Sorry, أنا تهت. One day Noah was very bad to Oliver. He pulled his hair hard and hurt his ears. He was trying to make Oliver cry. بيعذب Oliver. He was trying to make Oliver all the time tortured. You know what's meaning of tortured? معذب. By doing anything, pulling his hair, hurt his ears, and now he is going to hurt him badly by mentioning Oliver's mother. How's your mother? Workhouse? He was not calling him by his name, but he was calling him by the name of the place where he was born, as if he is nonsense, as if he is nothing. How's your mother, workhouse? He said. Poor Oliver, look how he replied. She's dead. Don't you say anything about her to me. ما تقوليش حاجة وحشة عنها. Oliver color rose as he said this. You see the way of the use of words that Charles Dickens used, descriptive word, figurative language, making you visualize everything. Now you have seen how Oliver was depressed and his face came rose because he was sad. He was sad. What did she die of? What did she die of? Workhouse, said Noah. Now he's asking him why she did, how she died. Oliver, of a broken heart, I was told. She was too unhappy to want to go on living. I think I know what it must to be, what it must be to die of that. What's made you cry? Said Noah, looking very pleased as he saw the tears in Oliver's eyes. This just said that Noah Claypole was a psychopathic person. He suffers something in his minds and his feelings. He's not a person who deliberately hurt people is a psychopathic person. Okay? He was happy seeing the eyes in Oliver's eyes. Sorry, the tears in Oliver's eyes. What made you cry? Looking very pleased as he saw the tears in Oliver's eyes. Replied Oliver, not you, مش انت. Noah laughed. Oh, not me? Really? Not you. Now that's enough. Don't say anything more to me about my mother. You'd better not. This this what this issue gave power to Oliver. He was not a negative person, by the way. He was not passive at all, but he was so powerful. But he didn't want to make lots of troubles. But the mentioning of his mother's made him couldn't tolerate to be um, humiliated by people more than that. Charles Dickens chose his hero an orphan for a reason. هو ما اختاروش أو ما خلاش الهيرو بتاعه طفل يتيم لأي سبب. He chose it an orphan to show how cruel the society at this time of the industrial age. He chose orphan to reflect the coldness of the society represented in the workhouse children, represented in Mr. Bumble, Mrs. Mann, Mrs. Sowerberry, who should have a motherly feelings towards any child, but she didn't. She was not sympathizing with him at all. She was treating him as just a bag of bones. At the same time, he wanted to say that these poor children, these poor people who are victimized, you know what's being by victimized, يعني مظلومين أو ضحايا of the poor, stupid law of the time of the industrial age, are not weak. They have hidden power. They have hidden power. Exactly that the power as the power that we are gonna see in Oliver Twist when Noah was trying to tease him by mentioning his mom. Charles Dickens was talking about hypocrisy of the society and the corruption represented in Mrs. Mann and Mr. Bumble, Mrs. Sowerberry. وكان ادانا صورة قبل كده if you remember when Mrs. Mann was flirting Mr. Bumble's smartness way of choosing orphans' names as if he is arranging books in a library according to the alphabetical order. Okay, ممكن يجيلك مثلا سؤال يقولك في الامتحان what is the theme that يجيب لك مثلا a quote and ask you to talk about the theme that is represented in this quote or in this context. ممكن يقول لك what do you think of Mrs. Man and Mr. Pumple's character? So you are gonna mix between the character, you are gonna talk about the characters and indulge in it, talking about the theme of hypocrisy. Okay. Evil characters, for example, evil characters receive their due punishment at the end of the story. Explain, giving 2 examples. This one question. ممكن يقول لك good nature is an important character trait we clearly observe in Oliver Twist. So we are going to talk about the nature or the character of Oliver Twist. Explain, supporting your answer with examples from the story. So we are going to talk about Oliver's character. ازاي بس هتقول Oliver is a kind boy? No, you have to give evidence. How he was dealing with people, how he was human. سؤال حلو قوي. Appearances are often deceptive. Explain in reference to the story. Appearances are often deceptive. Explain in reference to the story. يبقى أنا على طول while talking هحل السؤال ده ازاي. Simply هعمل ايه؟ I'm going to talk about the funeral scene. The funeral scene. Okay. زي ما اتفقنا كل theme هكتب عليه الاكزامبل اللي انا شفته من الستوري او تشارلز ديكنز قال لي عليه. Good nature is an important character trait we clearly observe in Oliver. Explain, supporting your answer with examples from the story. نفس الحكاية. I'm going to talk about the character of Oliver Twist and I'm going to give examples of Oliver's character, how he was kind, what did he do, how did I know that he is a kind person. طيب أنا all the time شايفة Oliver a very nice boy. He can talk, just living his life, يعني سايب كده ups and downs, ساكت. But there was a turning point. برضو ده سؤال. What were the turning points in Oliver's character? The turning point التحويل بقى لما هو خلاص بقى he's fed up and he has to reject what is happening to him. When the point with Noah Claypool. We will pity you, workhouse, but your mother was a bad woman. You know that she was? Oliver asked. What did you say? Looking up quickly. Now he was completely teased. A bad woman, Workhouse repeated. And it was a good thing that she died when she did, he added, red with anger. Oliver pushed over the chair and table, seized Noah by the neck, shook him, and then threw him to the ground. This was the turning point in Oliver's character. He refused to hear bad words about his mother's name. It's a turning point in his character from being a very submissive person or a very weak submissive character مستسلم كده into a powerful person and a strong person. He was trying, or he took the decision to put an end for his misery. Okay. A minute ago, Oliver seemed so quiet and calm, but the bad words about his mother set his blood on fire. Noah lay at his feet crying in a loud voice. طبعا بعد ما اتضرب قعد يمثل بقى. He will murder me. Help, Charlotte, Mrs. Sowerberry. Oliver has gone mad. He's still trying to harm Oliver by exaggerating. Char gave a loud cry as she and Mrs. Sowerberry came rushing into the kitchen. Oh, you bad boy, shouted Charlotte, seizing Oliver and hitting him, because we know that she was in love with Claypole. Mrs. Sowerberry held Oliver and scratched his face. You see how evil she is? Noah got up and hit him from behind. Noah got up and hit him from behind. Now highlight this sentence because this is shows the character of Noah. We know that he is a psychopathic person. Noah Claypole is a provoking, teasing person or character. He is coward too. يعني هو psychopathic ومش بس psychopathic, he is coward. How did you know? An evidence. Noah got up and hit from behind. He wasn't able to hit Oliver back when he shook his face, but he pretended to cry and screaming, asking for help from Charlotte and from Mrs. Sowerberry. And after Mrs. Sowerberry has seized Oliver, now at the time he stood and hit him from the back. How coward he is. When they were all tired and could tear and scratch and beat no longer, they carried Oliver to a dark room and shut him in there. Now Oliver back again to darkness. This is the same of darkness. If you put it كده, حطوها as an idea, the theme of darkness in Oliver's life. Why Oliver was in a dark room? Why? Because of his identity. You know, Oliver, until that age, he doesn't know who he is, who his father. He only know that he was having a mom, and this mom died in the workhouse out of a broken heart. But he doesn't know his identity. He even didn't take the name of his father, but he took the name of his mother. He was named by Mr. Bumble. Okay? I hope this will teach Mr. Sowerberry not to have any more boys from the workhouse, said Charles. They are all born to murder and to steal. Poor Noah, he was nearly killed, Mrs. Sowerberry. Said Mrs. Sowerberry. No, poor Noah. But what's to be done? Mr. Sowerberry is not at home. There is no man in the house. Shall we send for the police? Cried Charles. No, run to Mr. Bumble, Noah, and tell him to come here at once. Now they are going to call for Mr. Bumble to come and try to see this problem with the boy he has given to them. طبعا نوah وهو بيدور على مستر بامبل مش هيسكت, يعني عايز يبوظ الدنيا أكتر, عايز يأذي أوليفر أكتر. Noah found Mr. Bumble the workhouse. Oh, Mr. Bumble, sir, cried Noah. He's crying as if there is a crime, there is a disaster that happened. Oliver, sir, Oliver has... طبعا Mr. Bumble shocked. What? With a look of pleasure in his eyes. Not run away. He hasn't run away. Has he? Noah? Noah was a liar. Not run away, sir, but he is attacked. He has attacked me and tried to murder me, sir. And then he tried to murder Charlotte. And then Mrs. Sowerberry, sir. Oh, the terrible pain. And Noah moved his body as if still suffering from Oliver's attack. يعني صور له أوليفر دوت كأنه صغنونة، ده كأنه يعني سفاح حاول يقتلهم كلهم. Mr. Bumble, my poor boy, I will come at once. He took his stick and set off with Noah to Mr. Sowerberry's shop. He went to the dark room and said in a deep voice, Oliver. Again. خلاص Oliver اتغير. He's no more afraid from anyone. He's no more afraid from anyone. Let me out, cried Oliver from the inside. Asked Mr. Bumble. Do you know this voice, Oliver? بيخوفه يعني. Answered Oliver. Yes. Aren't you afraid of it? Have you no fear while I speak? Oliver in a courageous voice. No. طيب ادي كده عندي two proofs or two evidence about Oliver's turning point. One when he hit Noah Claypole, and the other one when he was not afraid anymore from Mr. Bumble. هنقف هنا عشان ما اطولش عليكم. عايزاكم تقروا الكام صفحة اللي احنا قريناهم مع بعض. Write down the evidence, write down the themes. فكروا كويس. حاولوا تحلوا الثلاث أسئلة اللي أنا كتبتها لكم. اكتبوا لي الانسرز في الكومنت وأنا هصلحها لكم. Wish you the best. أتمنى لكم التوفيق. Good luck. و stay safe. Bye bye.